Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I am Russ Goldman. Joining me right now is Emilio Danello, Yana Shanaeus, and Mr. Max Cohen. We have a lot to get to in this show. I am calling it fake win for Chelsea against Fulham because, guys, that's what it feels like. So let's get to our opening thoughts. And I want to mention a disclaimer at the beginning of the show. We could be using foul language, so just keep that in mind. Emilio, you were there, so I'm going to start with you. I truly believe that Fulham did not deserve not only to lose this match, but maybe even beyond that. Okay, but I don't feel Chelsea deserved to win it, and we're going to be talking about a lot to do with VAR, to do with the referee, but just give me your opening thoughts.
Yeah, good to do the show with you guys. Nice to see Yanis and Max. Been a while. I was there yesterday. Outstanding first half performance. You know, we dominated, we pressed, we caused Chelsea a lot of problems. This is a Chelsea team I had as an outside bet to win the title before the season began 2 or 3 weeks ago. I thought they've rationalised their team. They've got rid of a lot of dead weight, so to speak, cut their wage bill down, leaner squad. But we dominated. You know, you wouldn't have thought, you forgot to think who was actually the home team yesterday, and then we deserved that goal. But the irony was, as soon as he scored, every fan was celebrating in the crowd, Fulham fans. All I could see is the referee slightly moving aside, and it was touching his ear. And I went, "Oh goodness me, what's going on? What have we missed? How can you? You know, every time there's a Fulham any goal for that matter, you can't celebrate until you know the referee's got into the centre circle and told the game to carry on." But you know, I know, look. The last 24 hours, it's all been about the shocking VAR decisions, both for the first and second goal. But you know, we'll dwell on that in a minute. You know, for the most of the show. But overall, a very good, strong performance, especially in that first half. You know, I applaud the players for raising their game. Josh King, feel sorry for the lad, but he's here in the Premier League and he's going to stay for many, many years to come. And you know, I'm so excited to watch him play week in, week out. But look, we've got done. Not by Chelsea, by the bloody officials. Oh, that's one foul language word I've used, but things have got to change. 3 games into the season and we've been done by VAR. VAR is not our friend at the moment, and something has got to change at the top. And obviously you're going to share a tweet at the moment, Ross, where clearly they screwed up. They've apologised, but too little too late, right? We've got to take it on the chin, move on to the next game. But that first half performance in particular will give me a lot of hope for the coming season and for the next few games. So thankfully we've got the international break for a couple of weeks to, you know, regroup, refocus, put that behind us, and pick up 2 important home wins coming up back to back. 6 points there, and we'll be, you know, back to where we belong. So overall, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, I'm angry at 2 things: the officials and a certain Chelsea play, which we'll talk about in a moment as well. But overall, yeah, it is a fake win for Chelsea, and not one Chelsea person in that stadium applauded the victory. Every person I know, and I passed by hundreds and, you know, tens of thousands, not one person I'm aware are happy with that victory yesterday. They're actually embarrassed by that victory, and that says a lot about how far we've come from as a club and how well we performed in that first half. And yeah, we were robbed, but you know, we'll move on to Leeds. I guess that's all we can do, really.
Okay, excellent stuff. Over to you, Giannis. Your thoughts on what happened yesterday? We'll go into detail, and I will be sharing a tweet upcoming. What did you make of all of this?
Well, we got nobbled, didn't we? We got absolutely nobbled by a ref that needs to go to Specsavers, and the VAR. I don't know what they were playing at, but it's funny, when I got up this morning, the one thing that I keep thinking of is Josh King, an 18-year-old kid who had his moments stolen through incompetence, and frankly, it looked like cheating. Because if you're going to start giving fouls for that supposed reckless challenge by Muniz, then the game's gone. And if you saw the comments last night from, of all people, Scotty Parker.
I did.
Yeah, but he talked about, you know, how sterile the game is, and we're going to get to the point where fans and players are going to stop celebrating goals because they're not going to know what's happening next.
It's already happening, Dennis. It's already happening.
It was a disastrous day for the Premier League. It was a man, apart from the odd Chelsea whack on social media, there's been universal condemnation from fans of all clubs, from pundits everywhere about the disallowed goal, and then the notion of the penalty in the second half, just embarrassing, shambolic. And it is, you're absolutely right, Russ. It was a fake win.
Right. Listen, it's a term that is used often here in Boston, and I think it really makes sense for this match because if the goal counts, it's a completely different match for Fulham, and I don't feel that Chelsea did enough to win the match. They didn't. They don't deserve the win. It is a complete fake win. Max Cohen, your thoughts?
I don't even know what more to say. The only positive of the entire situation is that, unlike last week, where we were also robbed by refereeing mistakes, it seems like this week it's actually permeated the consciousness. There's been action, which does nothing, frankly. I mean, removing the referee from the next game or penalizing the VAR, it won't change the injustice that's been done. But at least the conversation has changed, and everyone is now realizing that Fulham have been wronged. And let's also not forget that not only did they rob Josh King of a good goal, they also added on 8 minutes to stoppage time, which then bled into 9 minutes of stoppage time.
That's right.
Which then led to the goal. The João Pedro goal, which never should have been, the match shouldn't have been happening at that point in time. So it's almost like you wrote this in a script. I mean, you couldn't actually make up all of the different iterations of jokes that led to us losing this match 2-0. And also the VAR penalty, which after João Pedro handballed it in the build-up and Moises Caicedo stamped on Alex Iwobi, there's no consistency. The only consistency we see is that big clubs get favored time after time after time again. But also, I mean, the referees, I'm talking about not the VAR. I'm talking about the man who's on the pitch, in the middle of the pitch, who's been giving the match duties, the main referee. They are absolute cowards because every time they're called over to the screen, they cease to become men and they become little children who are sat in a chair listening to their teacher or their mom or their dad. And suddenly they lose all brain function and they think, because I'm sat here at a screen and someone is in my ear telling me what to do, I'm going to do it. Why has the main referee not said?
You're right.
Yeah. Thanks,
it's
lads.
Like teacher and student, right? It's like the teacher is VAR official and the referee's a student, and they've lost their empowerment
agency. What Rob Jones should have said is, "Hey, really appreciate it, lads. Thanks for giving me an extra view. I disagree," but you never see that happen, and that's not refereeing anymore. And I know we'll talk about a lot more, but I mean, come on, to penalize Rodrigo Muniz for what everyone in the world saw was a really good turn and an unfortunate clash of feet. That's not football anymore. That becomes sports which, like basketball, where any touch is suddenly a foul, or I don't know, something even different. Maybe not even a sport. But what we saw yesterday, again, it was not sport. And I think Giannis summed it up. It was a dark day for the Premier League because everyone was not talking about the football. They're not talking about the atmosphere. They're talking about how abysmal the refereeing is. And they will continue to do it unless something changes.
Okay, very good. All right. I think, guys, now is a good time to share this tweet with everyone because I think this just talks about the fact that we have this information now, the fact that what I'm sharing right now just backs up everything that we're talking about, why I feel strongly it's a fake win, and why Fulham were robbed. Josh King was robbed of this moment, guys. So I'm sharing the tweet. It's from Kava from Sky Sports. PGMOL acknowledged VAR made mistake yesterday, disallowing Fulham goal at Chelsea. Decision was not in line with principle of referees' call and high bar for intervention, which should only be for clear and obvious errors. And that was the argument I was making to Tony Gold yesterday. As a result, VAR Michael Salisbury has been replaced by John Brooks for Liverpool versus Arsenal today. PGMOL Chief Howard Webb contacted Fulham yesterday. All right, Emilio, too little, too late, but this acknowledges everything that we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it is too little, too late. It's no consolation. Better than a slap in the face, I guess. Right? It's known that we weren't all going mad. The whole world is in line with this decision. I think it was forced, right? If you had maybe a 50-50 split view, you probably wouldn't have got the apology. It was 99% in favour of Fulham being robbed here. Howard Webb had to do something, and so fair play. They've responded quickly. They've dealt with it promptly. You know, what are they doing at the top though, more strategically, rather than saying as a one-off, it's happened, move on. How are they going to change the approach here? How are they going to Max's point? It's this whole thing around clear and obvious error. The referees have got enough power in that duty to override a recommendation from VAR. VAR, all they're saying is, go and take a look, referee. What do you think? There could be do you agree, disagree? What are you empowering? What's the role of the responsibility of the referee then these days? Then is it the VAR officials take control and whatever they say goes? Because I'd like to see how many VAR decisions are recommended and how many are accepted versus the other way around. Now, how many are challenged saying, actually, you know what? I've looked at the replay time and time again. It's not a clear and obvious error. Therefore, I'm going to ignore the VAR recommendation. And I don't like the fact it's always 3 seconds only. Look at the preceding 10, 15 seconds before, rather than that moment. You look at the second penalty decision, this penalty for Chelsea. Yeah, Pedro. I didn't see the Pedro's handball at the time. I did see a push on Anderson, and I called that straight away. Anderson was pushed and was impacted. So therefore, Chelsea continued to keep possession. They pressed, then Pedro handled, and then Sessegnon handled. But why was there not an immediate foul on Anderson, who was pushed blatantly in that penalty area? That got overlooked. If the VAR decision looks at the preceding 10, 15 seconds, you'll see the whole sequencing of what happened, not the 3 second. Was it a handball, yes or no? So again, the whole system is flawed. Watch over a sustained period of time, and then make a decision. But why does it also take 5 minutes to make a decision? Both, on average, 5 minutes to make a decision. Clearly, it's not. Is it not that obvious? Therefore, 100%. Override it or ignore it. It just makes a mockery of the whole system. And how can you go and celebrate a goal? That's why I didn't overly celebrate it, because I saw Rob Jones clearly pointing to his ear, so he was hearing something in his ear.
Right.
So whilst the fans were celebrating, you know me, I like to observe body language, players, and I can't overly react because I don't know if it's going to be a legitimate goal or not. The only time you know it's legitimate, normally referee goes into the centre circle, starts the game again. So thank you very much, Howard Webb. What's the next step? Is what next? How are you taking this forward rather than just replacing a couple of officials? That doesn't solve the long-term problem here.
I agree there, Emilio. Yeah, so I'll go over to you. I actually want to share this comment from Steve Rollins. He said this to me yesterday, and so did Tony Gold. When will it be a time where a manager will take his team off the pitch because of a situation like this? I think that might be coming. Now, I know that sounds extreme, but will it take something like that to force change of situations that we're dealing with? And do you agree with everything we're talking about, that there was no clear and obvious error? So why did VAR intervene? That's what it's all about, Giannis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised Marco didn't take him off yesterday, to be honest.
See, exactly.
I'd said bollocks to this. This is being rigged. It's been rigged. I mean, it's an apology. Nobody cares. And by the way, little message for Enzo Maresca. He can suck on a lemon as well.
Oh my Lord!
Yesterday, talking about it was a foul. Was a foul. You idiot. The fact is, if you're fair and objective about it, you'll know exactly what's happened. And you're saying it's a foul. We'll remember that. The fans will remember that one. Yeah. You know what? You're part of that. You're lucky enough to be one of the 20 managers in the Premier League, the supposed best league in the world. And we're a laughing stock right now. We're a laughing stock right now. And it's moments like this to do it. The apology, what does it mean? Are you going to give us 3 points? Nobody gives a crap. Nobody cares. So you replace it with an official. Why? Death is irreversible. You could have done the right thing yesterday. You chose not to do the right thing yesterday. And now you go begging to our club saying, well, we got it wrong. Oh, how's that going to appease the fans? This morning, I think Alex Iwobi did a Snapchat and said, anybody else thinking about what happened yesterday?
That's all anyone's talking about, Giannis.
Yeah.
It's the topic everywhere, except for potentially, like you said, Enzo Maresca and maybe some Chelsea supporters that are just blind to all of this, that just care about their club, that don't see this. But as Emilio said, he noticed this at Stamford Bridge, that the majority of them almost felt guilty, Giannis.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. I was angry last night. And then I replayed that first half again just to see if I could get that decision right. And I'm just numb this morning. It's just the whole thing is numbing, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the league. It's just everybody's looking at us now. Everybody's looking at that incident and going, "What's going on? Why?" So it's a really sad day for the Premier League. I really do.
Yeah,
really do.
I totally agree. And Max, I'll go over to you. You and I have been open about VAR. I've been saying, hey, listen, I want VAR, but I never wanted it like this. I wanted it to clear up clear and obvious errors. This is not it, my friend. So this to me goes against what you and I have been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Emilio said it best. Either it's clear and obvious or it's not. And I think Chris has this in the comments. 90 seconds or less. You should have some kind of time limit because it's making a mockery of the English language. If there's a clear and obvious error, you go to the monitor and it should be immediately clear there's been a mistake. So there should be no 4 or 5 minute VAR review. What we saw yesterday was Rob Jones looking at the screen for a very long time. What does that tell you? Is anyone who can actually understand what words mean? It tells you it's not clear, it's not obvious, it has nuance. It takes a while to look at it. So if that's the case, how can a VAR review stretch on for multiple minutes? And let's remember, the multiple minutes led to the joke of the 54th minute corner. To be the first half and have played 9 minutes.
We're going to talk about that too.
Something I've barely ever seen happen in the Fulham match ever, and it's a joke. Second thing is VAR, as Emilio also mentioned. The most important thing in a football match is celebrating a goal. Anyone who has ever been to a live football match knows it's probably the best feeling you might have that day, that week, that month. Let's remember, we're playing Chelsea away. We hadn't won until last year for a half century. So let's just put goals at Chelsea away. Best moment of the month, maybe best moment of the year, maybe the 5 years. Seeing Josh King, an 18-year-old who we all love, who's been at the club since he was a kid, score, and not just a goal, an excellent counterattacking goal where he sits down the traitor, the Judas, Tosin Adarabioyo, and fires a great shot. So you haven't just taken away any goal from Fulham fans. You've taken away a goal scored by our academy starlet against our hated rivals away from home that puts us in the lead. So it's not just any normal VAR mistake that's taken away joy from Fulham fans. That might have been the goal of our season. It probably would have been the goal of Josh King's career. Yeah. It would have been the moment of Josh King's career. There's no if, ands, or buts about it. Yep. So that's what VAR has taken from us, guys. It's not just led to controversies and anger. It's ruined moments which really change people's lives. And when we think about football, I mean, yeah, it's about results, but it's also about moments. And the technology is fucking killing that.
Yeah.
And that's why we all became football fans. You know, not because we want to look at XG or analyze every single angle of a foul. It's for moments, and we can no longer celebrate. What are we doing here anymore?
Right. Look at I looked at it. There is room for VAR. Sorry, Russ. Look at the World Cup in Dubai a couple of years ago. Decisions were made instantly within seconds. There was quick fire reviews, quick fire decisions. If there is room for VAR, do it quickly. You know, even 90 seconds, I'd argue, is too long. It's if you can't determine immediately if it's a yes or a no. If there's any subjectivity, you accept the referee's decision. That's final. He made a decision to either give it or not give it. The VAR will quickly review it and recommend a yes or no or overturn it. But if the World Cup global officials can get it right, so can these domestic leagues. Spain and Italy have had many problems over the years. They've now got it right. Premier League, you've got to sort your act out. Take this as basically as a pilot case. Say, look, we need to change the way we review the process, simplify the guidelines, get everyone around the table, and because I think there's, when there's so many rules and regulations, you're telling me every referee knows every regulation associated with a reviewer. It's, every sport has got rugby is the same thing. There's so many complicated rugby rules. Half the players don't even know what's good or bad, let alone the referee and the officials. So now there's rules, the game's getting too complicated, and the protocols keep changing season on season. You've got to take your kick within 8 seconds when the goalie receives the ball. The rules are changing all the time. If you're not with it, there's going to be always a bit of uncertainty around. I think yes, no, he thinks no. It's simplify the rule. Do what the World Cup officials did 2 years of the Dubai World Cup. there is room for this system.
Qatar, Amelia.
Sorry, yeah. Thank you.
That's okay. That's okay.
You know what I'm trying to
Emilio,
say? There is room for it, you know?
right. Next point I want to go on in the section I call Cottage Talking Points. I want to focus on Josh King. This is so terrible for him. I know we've already talked about it a little bit. Talk about the fact that here you got a player that I'm going to say you were there, right? And I've heard a lot of commentary about this. This was a breakout match for him. Goal or no goal, it's a breakout match. But this is a moment that he would have always remembered. Now it's tainted.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know, the fact he's keeping Emil Smith-Rowe out of the team. That's, look, an 18-year-old lad who's doing it day in, day out in training, had a very good pre-season, and managers kept faith with him. And, you know, this was meant to be the moment of his career, the moment of his life. Look at that composed finish. I was actually thinking he took us a moment too long to take the shot. I thought maybe he should have shot earlier, but the fact that he turned Tosin inside out and still managed to score the goal, all that composure and quality, you know, just this young lad is going to be a future England international. Let's be very clear. How long we can keep him, let's not worry about that for now. We've secured a long contract with him, but this poor lad, and the way he actually then went on to comment after the game, 18-year-old, such a model professional, such right. Maturity on his shoulders. You know, we love him. He's a legend, you know, already before he's even got his feet under the table, so to speak. But, you know, look, poor guy, but he'll come back. He'll come back stronger. You know, he's got nothing to be ashamed of. He's scored a cracking goal in good circumstances, beat a supposedly top quality defender, you know, in inverted commas. And look, you know, he deserved that goal, but there'll be more to come. He knows that, the club knows that, and we as supporters know that as well. So it's a shame. Like I said, I agree with Max. That would have probably been the pinnacle of his career, scoring against his local rivals at Stamford Bridge in front of 40,000 people. But he'll be soon scoring at Wembley in front of 90,000 people. Trust me.
Absolutely. Giannis, I want to get your thoughts on Josh King. Special moment ruined. We've already talked about it, but the player, this is just the beginning. And as I was speaking to Tony Gold yesterday, he mentioned to me, and Pereira's now gone. We can just say, and I know Emilio has a soft spot for Pereira, and I get that, but he does do some of the things that we were hoping that Pereira could do, but Josh King is doing. So what do you make of his performance and the fact that his moment was ruined here?
Well, he was. I think he was man of the match. He ran the show, and I actually agree with Teddy. I liked AP. I think we're going to miss him. I wish him well in Brazil. Yeah. But for an 18-year-old to have those shoulders, and then the post-match press conference where he was just so calm about it, and you know, talking about the fact that it happened, but we still needed to focus on the next 70, 80 minutes was just brilliant class. I don't know how long he's going to be with us if he carries on at this trajectory. Big clubs are going to come in for him soon. He's an absolute gold nugget. He's probably worth a lot of money right now. I'm sad for him that his moment was ruined. But they're going to be bigger and better days for him for sure. And he's become the cog of our midfield, which is absolutely wonderful.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, let's move on. And certainly still have a good amount to talk about in regards to all of this. So let me just pull this up. So, Emilio, I want to go back to you, and let's just talk about the Tosin situation, because I know you have some very interesting thoughts on that. Let's talk about Tosin.
Look, none of the Fulham community love the guy. Look, he's a traitor, Judas, like Max said earlier, but he got abused for 110 minutes yesterday. You know, let's be very frank. Every time he touched the ball, the booing. There's obviously foul language, which I won't replay on this show, but words beginning with C and W were regularly chanted throughout the whole game yesterday. And give him his dues. He stayed head down. I was always monitoring his vision and his face and body language, but he just dealt with it. But that tweet at the end of the game, sorry, you don't do that to your former employer. I interpreted it slightly the other way. I think, Russ, when we spoke this morning, you're effectively saying it's 1-1 now, i.e. he got done last year when we won there. Now it's basically level pegging. I actually thought it was about two fingers up to the fans yesterday, saying, look, you gave me abuse for 110 minutes. Here, stick your black and white flag up your backsides.
Okay.
I got one over you. So you can interpret it both ways. I think it had both. I think it intended both.
Okay.
Leveling up from last year's defeat.
See, that's what I thought it was about.
No, I'm with Emilio. Leveling up was saying, very good, Fulham. I'm now at a big club. I've leveled up from you.
Okay.
That's how I don't think.
Okay, so you interpreted it differently. Okay.
That's a third way. Third interpretation. That man, it's like you don't do that to your former employee. You humiliate them in public. Yet, Tosin, you see you next Tuesday. You got turned inside out by an 18-year-old. You're not good enough for international level in any African team or the English national team. You're only in that team because Chelsea have not bought another central defender. You're a waste of space, a nasty piece of work, and effing good riddance to him. I don't want anyone near that. I don't get bitter about players, but his attitude yesterday in that tweet really got my spine up. More so than the decisions of VAR, believe it or not. But that one individual can be that what's the word? I'm not cynical against your former employer.
Yeah.
Thanks you get. Fuck off, you know what? Sorry. I don't normally swear, so I know
I'm glad I put the disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
Go and I won't say what I think people should do to him. Sorry. Nasty people.
It's okay, Emilio. Like I said, it's okay. We're big boys here. It's okay. It's okay. Giannis, I want to get your thoughts on this because I read it one way. The guys read it a different way. They think it was a big FU to Fulham and the fans. Where do you fall on the tweet from Tosin being a leveler?
Tosin can go sit on a steeple. That's about the extent. What an idiot! We got him for $1 million from City.
Yep.
He wasn't playing a lick. We gave him playing time. We developed him. So he decides to go to Chelsea. Fine, whatever. But don't do that. And Teddy's right. Don't be dissing your old employers. Don't be doing that. They paid the wages that put the food on the table for your family. Don't disrespect your bosses. Don't be doing that sort of stuff. It's not cricket. And Teddy's I'm glad he did the swearing. He's absolutely right. I agree with. In fact, we'd buy a second lemon, and he can suck on that one as well. Pierre Maresca. Yeah.
Oh,
off he goes. An 18-year-old undressed him. It was like, honestly, it's like going to a strippers club.
Oh,
brilliant stuff.
Oh, it was great. It was great.
Brilliant.
Honestly, the fact that the fact that he scored that goal, which obviously now doesn't count against Tosin, was just beautiful. It was beautiful.
Classic.
And now that you guys are talking about it, it kind of makes sense to you. I think you guys are right that it wasn't about the game last season. I guess I was trying to give him too much credit. It was about us, and that's terrible. So I get why you're so upset, Emilio, because I was looking at, no, he's just talking about that we got him last year. Now they got us this year. I'm like, no, it's not about that. You guys are right. I'm wrong. I agree with you guys. You guys are right about that. All right, let's move on to some more talking points. We've already talked a little bit about it. Let's get to it. Emilio, the amount of stoppage time, where did they come up with this?
Yeah, exactly. It's just madness. And there was, in the first half, 5 minutes to review the VAR decision. And to be honest, it's inconsistent because how many times have I seen VAR decisions like last week? I think it was against Man United last week. But I think when that decision got reviewed, there wasn't the equivalent added time off the back of that. So it's inconsistent how the stoppage time or the time to review a decision gets added into added time. So it's not consistent. 1 week it's the maximum, another time it's half the time. So as far as I'm concerned, it's again another inconsistent way. So if you assume 5 minutes of added time, there were a couple other injuries. Liam Delap had an injury, so he got taken off. So 8 minutes seemed about fair, but I thought if once 8 minutes is elapsed, you blow the whistle. One corner resulting in a follow-up corner. The referee, you played 9.5 minutes. And you knew it was so Fulhamish that we were going to concede. You just smelt it, right?
Yeah.
Dominate the first half. Decisions going against you. Chelsea getting extra minutes and bang. That's where Chelsea were the most dangerous from set pieces throughout the whole game.
Right.
From corners and from free kicks. Other than that, Chelsea created no, attacking threat from open play.
No.
Fernandes was their best player and, had great delivery into the box. And in another day, Bassi maybe should have defended that better. And maybe there's a concern, maybe we'll talk about it in a moment, around
Yeah.
we've got to improve our defensive qualities from set pieces because we're getting caught out a bit too
hands
much.
down, Emilio.
You know,
Hands
that. But other than that, it's where did 9.5 minutes? Marcus Silva was absolutely right. 8 minutes have gone, blow up, go into the dressing room. So it's a different halftime team talk. Yeah, we thought 0-0, keep it going for another 15 minutes, and maybe come out the blocks like we did Man United last week. But no, we've had to come out, got one goal down, different tactics, different approach. So yeah, it changes. Even that goal, you could argue the Chelsea, the goal that got disallowed was a game changer and a turning point. Arguably, you could argue that extra minute and a half might have been a turning point because 0-0, we're on top. Different game, right? Second half.
completely different game. So again, this goes along with what we're talking about at the beginning of the show with the disallowed goal. Very good point. Giannis, I want to go to you. I can't remember a time where I've seen that much stoppage time that was not injury related. I've seen it maybe once or twice for injury related, but for this, how did they come up with this?
The fix is on. I mean, they've got clocks, right? They can read time. It's digital, I assume. Or did they use an analog clock? I don't know. But I mean, I had the same feeling. As soon as the second corner, I thought they're going to score. The buggers are going to score. It's just going to be typical. No wonder Marco Silva was pulling his hair out. He must be. Oh, good God! I'd love to have been in our changing room after the game. There must. Oh, geez. I mean, and it's not fair. It's not fair. Yeah, they pulled 9 minutes out of somebody's rectal canal, and that was it. The 9th minute, they go and score, and we've just been double whammied by officials. You know, I just no. Just I turned to my wife and said, "This is rigged." As soon as it went in, and you just knew it. So the four of us are angry, and I don't think we're going to be calming down anytime soon, frankly.
Probably not, Giannis.
No.
I'm still very angry about this, but I'm going to give you guys a silver lining. You guys know I'm Mr. Positivity, so I've seen this many times. And Giannis, you're a fan of the Buffalo Bills. I'm a fan of the New England Patriots. And when there's been controversial times for the Patriots, they have responded big time to win Super Bowls. I'm not saying that all of a sudden we're going to get into Europe, but I've seen teams galvanized when everything is against them. Do not count this as being a silver lining that after you get back from international break, you see a different Fulham. So I actually think in a weird, very strange way, this might benefit Fulham in the long run because I think it's going to bring them even closer together and galvanize them. So for me, terrible, and I'm going to be angry, but there might be a silver lining, and that might be my total positivity as a person. Max, your thoughts on the stoppage time extra here that we're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we saw the opposite last week when there should have been more time added on, and there wasn't, and then it's just completely inconsistent. It's really frustrating. But I think you make a good point, Russ. I think maybe this could be a galvanizing moment where Fulham respond.
Yes.
However, I know how bad we are historically after international breaks, so I wouldn't get too
This is
excited.
true.
I wouldn't get too excited.
This is true, but I have a feeling, I just got this gut feeling that things are going to be different this time because you've got a lot of people, not just Marco, the players, everyone with Fulham Football Club that are going to be feeling that they were robbed. And that can be a huge factor in changing everything. And I know how positive everyone knows I am, but I've also seen this happen in sports time and time again. When a team feels that everything is going against them, then they rally. And I could see our club doing that. And we're not even really going to be talking too much about all the transfer speculation, but I got a feeling that we're going to see some additions come on that hopefully will make an impact. But that's for probably another day. All right. Good stuff from all you guys. One final topic in Cottage Talk Talking Points, and it's a big one. Emilio, I'm going to go to you because, again, another game changer, the penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've watched this back. I think I've seen so many people say that Ryan Sessegnon this is definitely handball, but there are what 2 or 3 different incidents that involved Chelsea before that. Should this penalty have stood?
Yeah, look. I think we didn't start the second half particularly well, did we? I thought we came out a little bit sluggishly. I thought we did. I would have thought we would have come out with more determination, more hunger. But Chelsea started to get a stranglehold of the game. We're keeping a lot of possession, passing the ball reasonably well. But then all I remember, and I was saying at the beginning of the show, all I saw is the Anderson push early. In the build up to that incident. Why was that not given as a foul straight away? It's obvious. I could see it from. I was on the other side of the pitch. All I could see is that little push. And I quoted Anderson, you'd be fouled there. Nothing. I didn't see the hand. Didn't see the Pedro incident live, but I saw it on replay again. Why wasn't that given? Was it a penalty? If you put aside those 2 moments, was it more of a penalty than not a penalty? I think we all probably accept it was more penalty than not a penalty. But
Right.
Why weren't Fulham given the decisions ahead of that? And this goes back about the VAR. They're only replaying the penalty moment. 3 seconds, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Why didn't they go back to look at Anderson being pushed? That he lost control of the ball. Pedro handball in the lead. It just doesn't make sense. I'm speechless. I don't know what else to say.
Right. Well, Emilio, I'm sorry to interject, but here we are. We're talking about the build-up play to Josh King's goal, and they can't do it here. Yeah. That's your point.
Yeah, exactly. So it just feels why if you're reflecting on the Muniz, okay, he committed a foul in the lead up to Fulham's disallowed goal. Why wasn't then Anderson was a judge? Or Chelsea player a judge to have fouled Anderson? Why wasn't that given? Pedro, you handled the ball. Why wasn't that given?
Just to say that.
I think, my point. Yeah, I agree with Chris. Cess did handle the ball. It was. If you look at it just on that moment, yes, it's a handball, but you're disregarding the 10, 15 seconds in the lead up to that. So again, what's VAR? What's your role here? Muniz, you've looked at it 15 seconds earlier, but you've omitted to look at the 15 seconds preceding the handball because there was 2 moments. And then obviously the Iwobi issue as well. So it's arguably 3 separate moments, which should have had at least one of those in favour of Fulham, therefore no penalty in the lead up to that. But again, what do referees want to do? What does VAR? It goes back to what we discussed earlier. What's the role of VAR? They're just looking at the key moment. The key moment is, handball in the penalty area for the defending team. Therefore, Chelsea, you get a penalty. But I don't know. I think we're all lost for words, really. I think the apology you showed earlier, fine. It's too little, too late. Yeah, we've got to move on. And like you said, I think it will spur us on. And I think we'll get a lot of sympathy from other clubs and officials around the world. Don't be surprised we'll start to get a little bit more decisions starting to go away. But I've always
that's actually a good point. Yeah. I'm sorry. I almost called you. Yeah. Sorry about that. Emilio, that's actually a good point. We might end up benefiting because of this in a weird, strange way, where we might start getting more calls because of what happened.
Yeah. Do you think, who believes there's not bias in football? Of course there is. Of course there is, right? And so you investigate every manager, every referee, every VAR official. They've all got a link to a certain club. They all support clubs around in their youth and in their current lives. So there's always going to be an element of bias. But unfortunately, I think we said it earlier, football's become a non-contact sport now. If you can't have any form of contact, why? Give me the football 20, 30 years ago, not the football I'm seeing every day now. I'm proud to see all these big clubs, players playing in front of us week in, week out. At what cost? I can't enjoy my football. The main point that Max said is you celebrate in those emotions. You can't emotionally support a goal anymore until you know for certain it's yes or a no.
Right.
It's just it's unfortunately it's not going to change. Unfortunately, that's a reality. They may change some of the VAR guidelines, but everything is all very subjective now. Too complicated because there's too much money at stake. That's the bottom line. There's too much money at stake.
No, I totally agree with that. And Giannis, back over to you, because while Emilio's talking about this, and I'm thinking about the parts that were not part of the decision, one of them should have offset the situation, right? We had it the week prior with Calvin Bassey being pushed in the back. Same thing, Giannis. It should have been offset. This should have been offset by one of these three incidents. Do you agree?
Yeah,
do you agree with that?
We can have the worst refs in the world, but you better be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. One call for one call for the other. The Euros push on Bassi last week.
Right,
Not
same
given.
thing. No.
Like, really? No. So we're sitting here scratching our heads, but that's probably shows the magnitude of how frustrated we are with all the events and this pathetic little apology. Nobody gives a bollocks because it's too little, too late, and it doesn't. Death is irreversible, right? So, yeah, I don't know. I just want to.
Yeah.
Well,
very, very.
Just so you know, Giannis, near the end of the show, we're going to focus on some good things because I definitely want to talk about the positives, and these are a lot of negatives. Max, I'm going to give you final word on the penalty, and then we're going to move on.
Again, I think the guys recapped it really well. The hypocrisy is stunning. When we score a goal, everything is analyzed to try to draw it off. When other teams get a goal or a penalty, everything's swept under the rug. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, real quick on this. I want to talk about the starting 11. Giannis, I'll go to you first because he went with, I believe, an unchanged starting 11. It was the same that set up against Manchester United. I actually was in favor of this. I actually think Marco got his tactics right here. What did you make of the starting 11?
Yeah, I liked it as well, and it was beautifully illustrated with that first half. Chelsea didn't know what to do. They didn't know.
Chelsea were by far second best, Giannis, and that had a lot to do with how we were set up and how we played.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny. It was funny to watch. We going into their ground and making them look really, really daft, and the goal came at the disallowed goal came at the perfect time. Had it been allowed, and we were moving the ball quickly. Press was really good. We looked really aggressive. They looked rattled. Their fans were getting rattled. Our fans were by the way, mention of our fans yesterday. Absolutely magnificent,
Fantastic,
incredible. And they didn't have a clue, and it took a little bit of it took a huge moment of incompetence to change the flavored direction of the game. And it's because if we go 1-0 up, Russ, we don't lose. In fact, I think we win, and I think we win comfortably.
That's my point, Giannis.
Yeah,
that's why this is a fake win. That's why the show's called "Fake Win for Chelsea."
Absolutely, just tragic, but it still befuddles the mind. But I thought we were excellent first half, and that lineup was set up beautifully.
Okay, Max, over to you. I want to get your thoughts on the starting 11 because when I feel Marco doesn't get it right, I call it out. When he gets it right, I'm going to say it as well. He got it right. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I think it was interesting to still see Castagna kind of playing that right wing back role. I think that's why Silva's crying out for more signings, and we're going to see more wingers coming in because I love Castagna, but we can do better, and we will do better. But this lineup, I think, made a lot more sense than playing it against United at home because Chelsea, I think, are a team, although we might not respect them, they are more worthy of footballing respect than the current iteration of Man U. So I think this made sense, kind of soak up pressure. Yeah, but again, I agree with you guys. Chelsea were so ordinary.
Exactly.
For the first, and what changed the match was, frankly, the goal being disallowed because, yes, we kind of kicked on in the immediate aftermath, but as it got into stoppage time and it got into the end of the first half, the mood shifted. And suddenly we were hoping for the whistle, and Chelsea were pushing on. And I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even call that a tactical change. It really was a mental, emotional, VAR-inspired change because we suddenly were feeling like, let's just get to halftime, and Chelsea did play a lot better after the succession of corners. But in terms of tactics, I think we have to applaud Marco.
Absolutely. Good stuff from all of you guys. And I'm sorry, I forgot to go to Emilio. Emilio, what did you make of the starting 11?
I think we predicted it was going to be an unchanged setup. I think the key thing, same strategy as against Man United, try to stay within the game, frustrate your opposition, but we didn't give them the chance to further because we bossed the entire 40 7 minutes. It's just the last 2 minutes that we started to lose a bit of control, those corners and that's where I've said earlier, that's where Chelsea looked the most threatening. Enzo's delivering to the box time and time again. Well, if only we had somebody who can deliver crosses like that from a corner, we'd be scoring a lot more goals, right? But overall, I agree with Max. I like Castagna, but at times you can feel like he was not comfortable. He got into good positions, but he wanted to play the simple ball rather than being a little bit more direct and cross that ball. He was always looking for the simple side pass, and I think at times, Chelsea gave Chelsea enough time to get back and defend in numbers. But Iwobi looked lively. I thought Berger and Lukic bossed that midfield very, very well, certainly in the first half. Anderson, another good game. I think, I'm calling, and I was a big critic of him last season, but he's been our best defender this season so far. He's had 3 very good games, and he looked the most reassured defender yesterday. He made very little mistakes. I think Bassi struggled a bit yesterday, especially second half with his passing. He got caught out. You could argue he could have done better from the Fernandez corner, but overall, a lot of positives. We play like that more often. We're gonna trouble a lot of teams this season.
Totally agree. And I saw Kamal share a comment that this could change things with how Fulham are viewed, and I actually agree with that. Teams might be fearing Fulham a little bit more after this because they played well in that first half. We're going to talk about that in just a second. That's what's frustrating about this. With a few additions, I could see a massive change to this club because they're playing, I think, fairly well and only have 2 points to show for it. I think a lot's going to change. Anyways, coming up next to end the show, we're going to quickly look at the first half and the second half, and we'll end with man of the match. Okay, to end this episode, we're really not going to go through the key moments because we talked a lot about these moments already, guys. So let's just focus on just overall thoughts on the first half, second half, and then we'll end with man of the match. Emilio, I will start with you because you were there. We've already talked about it, but Fulham were the dominant team in the first half and should never have been behind 1-0.
No, absolutely. And Yanis made a good point about the fans. We had the 12th man there yesterday for sure. Marco keeps saying, fans, you need to be louder. You need to make sure you're there at Craven Cottage. I didn't hear a Chelsea fan sing the whole first half there. It's normally a quiet stadium. You barely hear the Chelsea fans sing when it's only when they're winning that you start to hear from them. But we silenced them, right? And that gave us the cutting edge. We were brave, we were courageous, we were hungry, determined, and what more can I say? We've talked about the controversy, but overall, to go in a goal down, it absolutely griped me. As a man of effing and blinding going offline, it's just a travesty of justice. Yep. Just the fact that the goal got chalked off, but more importantly, we just switched off those comments. I think Max, you said it. We just wanted the referee to blow up, go into half time, heads held high. Let's start the second half in the same way we finished the first half. But no, different team talk. Heads slightly dropped, just frustrated. And I think that impacted, right? I think it's less of the goal that we lost got chalked up. I think the fact that we conceded so late in the half, that is a key point. That was a game changer as well, just because we never recovered from that, really. Let's be honest. I think in the second half, we were average second half. It wasn't the best game in the world by all accounts. It will only be remembered for the controversy. But overall, bossed the first half. Chelsea didn't get a look in except after 40 to 49 minutes. That's the only time we saw them.
Yep. Good stuff. And listen, they're human beings. When things go against them, it's hard. And I can understand why in this situation heads would drop, because the calls went totally against them. And I think it affected them in the second half. And we'll talk about that coming up. Max, over to you. Again, to go to Stamford Bridge and play like that in the first half. And let's just talk about the performance. Obviously, we already have of Josh King. Fulham were dominant in the first half, and as I just said to Emilio, did not deserve to go down 1-0.
No, I mean, Leno really wasn't bothered at all until the goal. And let's remember, Anderson had a really good opportunity that, unfortunately, if that falls to a different player, might have been already 1-0 before the Josh King moment when he exchanged a number of passes with Castagna and then just opened up his body, left foot, trying to curl it. Not the right decision for your center half to be doing that kind of skill, but really good pressing. And Chelsea were so ordinary. That's the thing about Chelsea, is that I think Emilio made a good point as well. He's like, look, he thought it could be an outside title contender. I have a colleague at work who actually is a United fan who said, I think Chelsea are going to win the league. It's a fashionable pick because if you look at their team, they have some of the best footballers in the world, most exciting young footballers.
I don't see it, man. I don't see it.
But when you actually watch them play
90
minutes of football, it's some of the most disjointed stuff you'll ever see because they haven't actually formulated a team. They formulated a bunch of individuals. And it was the same thing last year. There will be matches like away at West Ham, who are probably going to get relegated, honestly, when they will just absolutely erupt. But it's few and far between. And they didn't look like a team who we should be concerned about.
No.
But then let's give Chelsea credit, though. I mean, they got the goal in the moment that mattered, and that killed the game. I mean, the match was essentially over once João Pedro scored.
Agreed.
And then they got the penalty, and, honestly, you could have turned off the television after 53rd minute after Enzo Fernandez penalty. You wouldn't have really missed anything. I mean, I don't know what we're going to talk about because really nothing happened.
No, there really isn't much. I'll talk about the second half coming up a little bit, but there really isn't a lot for us really to dive into because, like as you said, Max, the match was gone at that point. I'm going to go to Giannis. Giannis, first half, I think coming out of this, maybe this is why I'm feeling about this silver lining, is that I'm extremely encouraged by what I saw against Manchester United, what I saw against Brighton in some ways, but really what I saw in this first half. We have a lot to look forward to as Fulham supporters because of that first half, regardless of that goal from Chelsea.
Yeah, the first half was excellent. Just that last couple of minutes where we looked like we were chasing the half-time whistle. Second half, you could tell there was a reaction in terms of we almost looked shell-shocked. But it's going to be, I think one thing Marco's going to have to talk about is if this is the norm in terms of having wretched decisions, we just have to be able to build on our resilience and let the chips fall as they may. I think change always needs a catalyst. And I think yesterday's non-decision was a catalyst. And I think I agree with you, Russ. I think it's going to spur us on, but I'm hoping it's going to really elevate the levels of refereeing and officialing because this has got too much.
Change has to happen here, Giannis.
This has to be the catalyst. Yeah, this has to be. This has to be the straw, for sure. I think if we played in the second half the way we played in the first half, we'd have probably destroyed them had the goal been allowed. I really didn't see them doing that.
And that's what's frustrating because I don't know if we see the second half if that goal counted from Josh King. I think you see a completely different game, and I think that's what frustrates us. So I agree with you, Giannis. I think coming out of this is going to be a catalyst for not just Fulham's season moving forward, but maybe it will force change in England with how VAR is used because it is used correctly around the world. I'm glad that Emilio brought that up. You got to adjust it and see what is going wrong with it. I think it can still be a valuable tool if it's being used for clear and obvious errors. Nothing else. Clear and obvious errors. Never should have intervened. They're admitting it now that they got it wrong. But I think that there's a chance for some serious change. We'll see if that ends up happening. All right, guys, as we're talking through this, you know what? To talk about the second half, really, I don't see much use in it. So we'll just say, obviously, after the penalty, there's really not much really to talk about. So let's now just end the show with
I just add one point as well, Russ. Sorry to interrupt as well. I think
go ahead, Emilio.
What's important here is we didn't lose our heads. It could have been Man United at Old Trafford. Repeat.
That's a good point.
It could have gone completely out of control. Marco Silva getting sent off into the. Then he misses a couple matches. He basically restrained himself, acted very professionally. The referee had to be escorted at half time off the pitch and at full time. So let's applaud Marco Silva, who I think was probably the man of the match, just for keeping control of the situation.
Okay.
Not getting his head. If that was 2 years ago, you would have seen a repeat of Old Trafford. It didn't happen. Frustration. He bit his tongue, refrained from saying things out of turn because he knows he needs to be in the dugout for every game for Fulham. So let's give him kudos here for keeping his head and the players acting professionally and putting it behind them and moving on. So that's because I think Kamal's mentioned one. Let's give Silva some credit, but overall, that could have got very nasty. You could have seen red cards. You could have seen referee Marcus Silva being sent to the stands. It could have got very, very difficult. You know what? Sod you, Chelsea. Sod you, VAR. We're better than you, and we're better than that. So that's a key thing here, in my opinion, as well.
Okay, but you're going to get us going as Marco Silva is man of the match.
Yeah, I'll give. Yeah, obviously, Josh King was on the starting 11. I think Marco Silva, that could have gone horribly wrong. You know, and as soon as that debate, he kept his cool throughout the whole 110 minutes of play.
Okay, all right. Giannis, who's your man of the match?
Josh.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Superb. We've got a duel here. And just the way he conducted himself on the field.
Okay, very good. All right. Max, man of the match.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the goal scorer, Josh King. So
that's right, the goal scorer.
Exactly.
You're right.
Let's refer to him as that.
Okay. And I'm glad that Kamal put the team as man of the match. I can agree with that too, but I'm going to go with Josh King. I just think that for me, watching him play and watching the potential that he's just scratching the surface, I think we have potentially the greatest prospect Fulham have had in my time of watching Fulham, and there have been some very good ones. I think he has a chance to be extremely special. As Emilio said, I expect him to play for England. I'm talking about, the big team for England very soon. I know he's in more of the youth teams right now, but I expect him to be on that stage and have a huge impact. I think he's going to be that good. So for me, it's definitely Josh King. All right, guys, final words before we wrap up the show. Emilio, thank you on short notice for joining us tonight.
No, I think we've talked a lot of good things, right? It's nothing to be ashamed of. We'll go on to Leeds and Brentford at home, two must-win games. Start picking up points. Both at home, both clearly winnable games. So yeah, I think we've got a lot to look forward to. But a few more signings wouldn't go amiss. I know Kevin's having a medical this afternoon, by all accounts. I think all being well, he'll be on our books for that Leeds game in a couple of weeks' time. And there'll probably be a couple loan signings here and there. But you might see probably a couple other players leaving as well. We've been. And I hope that Muniz doesn't go. I know you saw that video I sent you this morning, Russ, when Muniz got substituted. He was very subdued and very forlorn. Now, I'm assuming that's more because of the situation in the game yesterday and the frustration, rather than that could be a goodbye from him. Right. So hopefully he doesn't go in the next 36 hours. But yeah, for those who've seen, go into my Instagram site, you'll see the video I took yesterday when he was walking around the pitch. And he just looked very, very negative, forlorn and subdued. But the overall, let's move on to Leeds United and let the officials and VAR, all these cowboys in the Premier League trying to sort that out. I think all we got to do is focus on our game, focus on the 90 football, get your players on the pitch, play your tactics, and that's all you can do as a football team. It's outside of your direct control, really. Okay,
Giannis.
Great show, guys. I'm positive about the performance yesterday. As Teddy said, we've got Kevin doing his medical right now. Hopefully we get a couple more signings in. And those of you who've seen Home Alone 2, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Catherine O'Hara. Kevin,
I've seen it over and over again. So
great film.
That's something that is going to be mentioned. They're going to be memes of Kevin going left and right, and that's fine. I'm all for that.
I hope we get a couple more signings in to back our wonderful boss, and that damn international break again. But it gives us a chance to reflect and refresh. And I'm so glad that the FA made the decision today, in terms of the apology. It's too little, too late, but at least they did something.
It's the least, but it's certainly not enough there. Yeah. Max, before I get your final word, I just want to share this because no one knows this, but I will share it here on Cottage Talk. Max and I actually had lunch on Friday, And it was just great to catch up with Max, who was in town visiting, and it was great to talk with him. And I will just say this before I give you the final word, my friend. You are a true mensch, and I think you know what that means.
Thank you, Russ. For those who don't know the Yiddish word, it just means a good person. But I mean, Russ, you're the real mensch. We always appreciate you hosting the show and bringing together the Fulham community every single week. We really appreciate you, and we're so glad the show is still going strong many years after you first started it. So thank you. Yeah, it was great. I'll tell you what, I'm in New England for vacation before I got to go back out to DC. So I stopped by, saw Russ. Great burger spot in Russ's hometown. If you're ever in Massachusetts near Russ, ask Russ what his favorite burger spot is. But yeah, I mean, listen, we have 2 winnable matches coming up. Leeds at home, Brentford at home. We're still winless. It's kind of a weird position to be in considering all that's happened, but I'm not worried yet, but let's see what happens after Leeds and Brentford. Ideally, I know it's greedy. I would love 6 out of 6 points from those matches and kind of get away from the bottom of the league. But I think the results will come. The performances are there. And I agree, Russ, that we're going to have time to regroup. We'll get some new players in. And I think Marco is really going to light a fire under the squad. And hopefully they'll come out firing when we're back in a domestic action. So very excited to see what the season brings, and happy to do the show as always with you guys.
Okay, great. And thank you, as always, Kamal, for that comment. And I will just share this with you guys. I will be doing 1 or 2 shows tomorrow. That's a lot that's probably going to happen from the time we're recording now until the window closes. And I have lined up a very special guest who does a podcast on Shakhtar Donetsk. So he's going to fill me in on Kevin. So that should be good. I look forward to bringing that tomorrow, which will be Monday. Today is Sunday. Anyways, well, it's time to wrap up this show. For Max Cohen, Yana Shanez, and the Fulham Shadow. I didn't even get a chance to say that. Emilio Danello. I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the Talk Sport Fan Network.